Come on.
It says we're live.
It hadn't changed colors yet. There it goes.
Oh,
All right.
Maybe.
And we have a mic.
Do we?
Yep. I see the blinky down there.
Oh, that's a good sign.
Of course, we're on that mic instead of this one. So.
Well, yeah, that one's not been reliable.
No.
So, but for moments of unreliability, there's King Harv's coffee. If you caffeinate it enough, it becomes reliable, right?
Yeah. Or at least functional for some of us.
For some values of functional.
Hey now.
Oh no, I'm speaking for myself. And if you'd like to support the Blanket Fort and all of our zany endeavors, you can always hit up the Ko-fi link and pay for that said cup of coffee. Yes, because I don't know if we need the heat or the cool or, well, they're taking turns.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's spring in Texas. And also, we are not sponsored by this tiny URL here where you can find quirky t-shirts with interesting sayings on them. And with that out of the way.
Yeah. So, yes, the new one, which is still odd. SSN 796 has passed the Alpha C trials, which means they didn't sink.
Well, that's always a good start to life aboard a ship.
I'll take it back. They did sink and they did resurface. So that's, it's a submarine.
Right. No, I figured that out. But there was a moment of dissonance there.
Yes. Sea trials. Yeah, Rick, sea trials are not fun. Way too many bodies and testing things to limits that haven't been run all that hard before. Yeah.
Jesse, no giving me earworms. I do not have Rita's singing voice. But when it comes to Tom Lehrer, I will sing.
Yeah. Yeah, that they did come back up. Yes, David, that's the important part.
Yes, yes.
Unlike the Spanish submarine that sank at the pier.
Oh, no. It did not come back up, no. I take it. Oh, dear.
They had to rebuild that one.
Well, so which implies they did get it back up.
Eventually, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not under control.
No, it was slightly mismanaged design.
Yes. It went to live with the old Spanish Navy. Good one, Sir Brass. Greg.
Yeah, David, we've heard that joke for years.
Greg, not that saying, because that one belongs to Rack Press and the swag shop isn't open yet. Working on it.
Yeah. Raptor, that's, yeah. You and a lot of other folks. I do have to know a little bit about that. However, that's a long discussion that's better had in a bar somewhere over a drink or three dozen.
Less painful.
Yeah.
For the person giving and the person receiving, I think.
Had the chief holding overspeed trip override. Damn, Rick. I knew it was bad. I didn't realize y'all did that. Yeah, probably, David. Yeah, Rick Over. Rick Over was his own thing. I'll just leave it at that.
The Indian Navy also lost a sub at the pier.
Oh, yeah.
This seems to be a theme.
Well, the Yugoslavs lost one. The Libyans lost one that sunk at the pier.
I need to brush up on my geography. I was not familiar with a Yugoslavian port.
Split.
That
on the Adriatic.
Okay.
Yeah, we were actually going to go up and sink one of them, and it did it to itself. Yeah.
Oof. Drove it into the ocean floor sounds far more exciting than it should have been.
Yeah, you don't like hitting the bottom. That's much like aviation, you want to stay between the edges. It's the same thing for
right,
submarines.
right. And I know there's a lot of mud down there in
Yeah.
places, but I don't think you want to be in that either.
Yeah. I was my first ever submarine ride in 1974. We were out of Pearl Harbor and we bounced off the bottom.
Well, as I recall, Pearl Harbor has a silting issue.
Yes.
Yes.
Also, that was when they found out that the SINS unit was not quite as accurate as they thought it was. That boat went in the yard for a problem after we got back. Well, one of many problems.
Well, I know Dad talks about skin diving in Pearl Harbor until he came face to face with a 14-foot hammerhead.
Yeah.
And then one of his teachers informed them that's one of their breeding grounds, one of their major breeding grounds.
Yeah.
So he no longer dove there after that.
Yeah.
Because a hammerhead that big thinks a teenage boy is a snack.
Well, we had the same problem out in the Philippines. We had an S2 go in off the end of the runway, into the bay there. And when they went down to look see whether or not the airplane was salvageable, pilots got out.
Oh, good. That was going to be
through
my
the
next
overhead
question.
hatches.
Okay.
And the diver that went down, there was a great white nose down in the escape hatch.
Trying to figure out if there were snacks.
Trying to figure out if there were snacks.
Sharks live a long time, so it's entirely possible that shark had previously encountered aluminum tubes with snacks in it.
And he came up rather suddenly.
Yes.
Speaking of sharks, great whites, they got videos day before yesterday, Monday, off of Spain, of an orca killing a great white and eating the liver.
Oh, I saw something about that. I didn't follow through to see the video, but yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, for every predator, there's a bigger predator out there.
Yep.
So.
Eugene B. Flucky. Yep. Flucky Hall. Yeah. Turtle was Revolutionary War. Hunley was Civil War. That is correct.
It still kind of boggles the mind that we had a submarine in the Revolutionary War.
Yep. Didn't do well, but
it
existed.
It did exist. I mean, it was optimistic.
Yeah.
They tried.
No, Sir Brass, he did not sink it in the ocean.
Where did he sink it then?
They came up, saw a set of train tracks on mainland Japan that came down by the water.
Oh, right.
He had some former Boy Scouts on his crew that went, hey, we can go blow up the tracks. So he let them. And they did.
Sir Brass says it launched 200 feet in the air and it landed in the water.
Well, that might have been a little high. They did send a landing party ashore. They did place explosives on the tracks. And Flucky backed the sub in so shallow to recover them as fast as they could because the train was coming that he could not submerge the submarine.
Oh, that's not good either.
So they estimate he had the submarine in less than 100 feet of water. Backed in. So all it would have taken would have been one good wave to push them onto the beach and then have been done.
Yeah. That's risky.
Yeah.
That's risky.
Yeah, they used the submarine's demo charges, which would have made it kind of hard if they'd had to demo the boat. But
yes.
Yeah. Yeah, they weigh several tons, Raptor. It's and I have seen that battle flag in Subpac headquarters. And yes, it does actually have a train on the flag.
Of course. I mean, I'm sure that he got yelled at by someone when he got back, because that sounds like that was risky on multiple levels.
Yes, just a little bit. Yeah.
But still, he earned that.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah, subscuttle charges in World War II are a little different than what they are today. Yeah, after the submarine community is a little different. And I mean that in many, many ways. They're different. So, no, Flucky really did not get in trouble for it. He did get the Medal of Honor. And he did write up all of the actions in World War II that they had documentation on. Yeah. Hey, Greg, I never said we were anything but freaking crazy. So,
Yes, it's a dragonfly on my necklace.
yeah. No, Jesse, they were not limiting the number of cruises. That's a popular myth. A lot of times the COs only got 4 because they transferred off. Yeah. As Rick says, you got to be special to go on a sewer pipe with 100 other people for months at a time. Yeah.
Yeah, right now my kid is talking to the Navy recruiter pretty seriously, and has decided that he wants to become nuclear maintenance, something like that. Anyhow, he really wants to play with nukes.
Nuclear machinist, mate.
Yes, thank you.
And no, I'm not pushing him for that.
No, none of us are. He's just got this bug in his head, and being 18 and has a lot of growing to do still. We'll see. I mean, he's got to take the tests next week, but I've warned him. I've told him, I'm like, dude, you do this, you're liable to wind up in a sub. And he has no idea what he's getting in for. None. So there's a sub you can tour in Portsmouth. Can't remember the name of it. I want to say Kitty something, but I think that's wrong.
No.
And I never took the kids there, and I should have, because I suspect that if he had any concept what he was getting himself in for, that he would be a little bit more willing to listen to those of us that are recommending that he go for the Seabees instead.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know some ex-submariners, Stephen Simmons,
Yeah.
Red Gantz.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're interesting gentlemen.
Kitty Wake.
Yes, the Kitty Wake. Thank you, Rick.
And that's actually a World War II boat.
Right. And I realize that's probably smaller than what we have now, but still.
The quarters are not that much bigger.
No.
Yeah.
Yes. The surprise will be half the fun. Yeah, Julie, yeah. Yes.
Oh, Raptor, I could introduce him to a few CBs that I know.
Yeah, actually, the book idea is a good one. He listens to a lot of audiobooks, so I may see what I can find and load it into his audio queue so that he can listen to that. Yeah, it's a whole different kind of crazy. I'm aware. This is also the kid that was talking about doing Red Horse in the Air Force. So, yes. I've been listening to The Fanatic Electrician recently, and he is extremely amusing.
Yeah.
Especially because you can hear his brain break as he learns things.
Yeah.
Which is entertaining.
Yeah. Yeah, he's not, and as David said, he's not always accurate.
Right. Well, I mean, he's researching and then putting these videos together.
Yeah.
I mean, he's trying. He's better than some other things I've seen.
Yeah. Yeah, having been aboard Nautilus, yeah, it's bigger than a World War II boat, but it's still small. A friend of mine was actually original crew on the Nautilus with Commander Anderson. Later got commissioned And this was before Rickover said if you were prior enlisted nuke, you could not come back to the submarine force as an officer.
Why?
It was Rickover, who knows?
Oh, okay.
But Bill ended up coming back to the nuclear community as an officer, ended up with a command, retired as a captain,
Mm-hmm.
and then ended up at Scripps. And he ran Flip for years. Flip, for those of you that have never seen it, was basically a half a boat that flipped 90 degrees in the water.
Mm-hmm.
So it had double everything. 2 sinks, 2 toilets, 2 bunks,
Yeah.
and they were 90 degrees offset.
You showed us pictures of that.
Yeah.
And then when I was writing a story recently, I actually wrote the spaceship as being like that.
Yeah.
Because changing directions with drives that didn't have artificial gravity.
Yeah.
So because I had seen the pictures you showed us of Flip, I was describing the different setups. So.
And then the interesting thing about Flip was that was designed for one program for 5 years.
And how long did they use it?
Over 50 years.
I love it when that happens.
Yeah. Well, it was acoustically quiet because it had no power plants.
Oh, yeah. Well, that would do it.
It actually had to be towed out to sea by tug.
Mm-hmm. Like a giant buoy.
Yeah. Mm. It's effectively what it was a buoy. Really, and you could anchor it in multiple places, multiple ways.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, that would be cool, having Grandpa take you in to explain things. That would be very cool.
Yeah, if you want to have some fun, get Jonna talking about what Ken and I did to her and.
Well, no, she did talk to us about that some. I would love to have gotten to be on that one. I've gotten to hit the Air Force Museum a couple of times with experts, and really, really enjoyed that because it's a whole different perspective.
Yeah.
So.
And I forgot to take pictures. Stupid.
Well, no, it makes sense. I mean, I know when I did the speed walk of the museum with Casey Azell, I was not taking pictures because I was very focused on engaging and learning and kind of trying to absorb what we were doing. And I think that pictures require you to kind of step back and be focused on doing that instead. So.
And I'm still pissed we didn't get up to the second floor.
So another trip.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it does tend to run in cycles with families. Another friend of mine, Rusty Cole Morgan, retired Navy captain. If you're a submariner, you know what the word Cole Morgan means. That was his grandfather that designed the Cole Morgan periscopes, still used on submarines.
Cool.
Grandfather made admiral, daddy made admiral, also submariner.
Mm-hmm.
Rusty went to Naval Academy and went helicopters.
He broke the mold.
He broke the mold. And according to him, grandfather did not speak to him for almost 10 years.
Oh.
And his father didn't speak to him for about 4 years. Because he had not gone submarine. He was supposed to go, so he was a submariner.
Yeah. I mean, I think the reason my kid was looking so hard at the Air Force was because my dad was Air Force and my grandfather was Air Force. But I don't want him to, you must do this.
Yeah.
I mean, do I regret not going Air Force? Yes, but for different reasons.
Well, I went to the Navy because I'd be damned if I was going to salute either one of my cousins who were Air Force.
That makes sense.
And I had other cousins that were Marines. My dad was Army. So we had all the services covered.
Mm-hmm. I think unnecessary apostrophes are the last thing we have to worry about, Sir Brass. It's
Rapture. Yeah, that's interesting when you do that. Of course, now rather than forget to load the film, you either forget to load the
SD card,
SD card, or you forget to charge the battery.
or you forget to bring a spare battery.
Yeah,
I
too.
may have done pretty much all of those. Actually, I'm still a little peeved. I picked up a 1951 Exacta, which was one of the first 35 millimeter cameras, and I shot a roll in it just to see if it's still functional. The mechanics are good, but I don't know if the shutter screen is letting light in.
Yeah.
And I decided that because it was an experimental roll, I would just cheap out and send it off through the thing in Walmart where you can send off, and they lost it.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have to shoot another roll, only this time I'm not going to cheap out. I'll take it probably up to OKC and have Bedford Cameras develop it for me.
Yeah. Nuke, he also designed the Cole Morgan rifle scope. Man was brilliant with optics. Absolutely brilliant. Comments are necessary when you're writing a Bill Shatner voice. No comment. No comma either.
Oh, speaking of Bill Shatner, I found an interesting bit of trivia courtesy of my Discord group. I did not know that there was a unaired pilot for a Nero Wolfe TV show with Bill Shatner playing Archie.
Oh, geez.
So it's on YouTube, and I haven't watched it yet.
Probably a good reason it was unaired.
Probably, but I'm curious. So I've been reading the Perry Mason books, which are nothing like the Perry Mason TV shows, and interestingly noir, at least the early ones.
Yes, sir, Brass. The man was brilliant. And being able to see out of a submarine is critical for any number of reasons. But yes, once he got into optics, he never got out of it. Periods are necessary when writing Christopher Walken. Speaking of writing and other things, Jana is in a story Mike Massa did in the latest Black Tide Rising.
Oh, cool. I'll have to check that out.
Yeah. And that's an excellent series. Not downgrading this anthology, but there's some interesting stories in that one.
There's room enough for lots of anthologies.
Yes.
We have lots of people that read very quickly.
Yeah.
So I need to read more early Nero Wolfe. A friend gave me a bunch of Nero Wolfe paperbacks, but unfortunately they are vintage and rather crispy. So if I try to read them, I break them. So I need to pick them up in ebook.
Nancy, I saw your story. I will look at it tonight when I get back to the house and get through what I'm trying to write.
Alan, I can tell you which Exacta it is when I get home. I know it was made in 1951 in East Germany, and it's backwards. All the gearing and everything is on the left-hand side, which is taking some getting used to, because back when I did shoot film, it was your American cameras are all on the right-hand side. So, but it was a whim. So, are we still planning on ditching the Blue Yeti microphone? I think we're going to have to. It's not reliable anymore.
Yeah. And we've got a snowball here somewhere. I just got to find it.
We got to find the other one. And I have a microphone at my house that would probably work. We can try a couple of different ones. So.
Yeah. Peter Nayland is writing as fast as he can. Peter's another good one.
Mm-hmm.
Peter's former Marine recon sniper. Spent quite a bit of time downrange as a contractor. And he knows what he's writing about. Man does a ton of research. Nancy, I know you're not in a rush, but you sent it to me to read, and I wanted to get it turned around and back to you. I don't like holding people up. Mini Marine is attacking the mini Coast Guard. I'm not sure I want to know, Differ.
Yeah, I'm wondering about the Coast Guard, given that they live in a very sandy part of the world with no ocean nearby.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, that's a good point, Rick.
yeah,
If he got that nuclear welding certification, that's big time once he gets out.
yeah. Well, the problem that I've been told with him and nuke school is that you have to love math, and he does not love math.
You've got to love math, and you've got to get through you got to get through the school, and then you have to get through prototype.
Mm-hmm.
Two different things.
Yeah. So
Los Alamos, yeah. There's some strange people at Los Alamos.
I was just going to say the Coast Guard has people in Tok, Alaska, which is
Yeah.
like 700 miles from the ocean. So yes, I get that. I figured out what you meant, Sir Brass. Oh no. The older son is the Coast Guard, lost and useless in his current deployment. Oh, poor child. Oh,
Yeah, CBs, you can get all kinds of search through the CBs too, Rick.
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, right now he's got his advanced welding certs and some other sundry stuff that would be mildly useful for working in that kind of area. But we'll see, because strange people in your office, Ted, and how is it that there are multiples when you're the singular one there?
yeah, Joel. Nukes need math, brain, and detail oriented, which normally are mutually exclusive. And then you get the people that are ADD, ADHD that are perfect because they do both and never get out of it.
Thanks, Michael. We'll look it up.
Yeah.
So, yes, I am familiar with the people in my head wanting to get out on paper. So, and you should be writing, sir.
Just let them argue.
No, I'm talking to Ted.
Yeah, I know. Just let them argue.
They argue enough, you'll start writing them down. Just get them out of your head.
Yeah.
With that feeling too, although I haven't been writing much recently.
Oh, yes. Tickling the dragon's tail.
I'm just excited because the banner that you see behind us was supposed to show up yesterday so that the gang could take it up to Kansas City Comic-Con. And it did not show up in time, but that means that I got to look at it today, and I'm very happy with how it looks. We've shortened it so that you can see the title here, but these stand a full 80 inches they're taller than I am considerably. But they're going to look fantastic at a booth or with a table for displays. We have Space Cowboys, Space Marines, and Moggies in space so far, and then the plan is to get the 3 pinup noir figures on banners. And I'm very happy with how it looks and how my art came out on those. It required a little bit of tweaking to scale up the art for something that size, but it was also appropriate that we're using Space Cowboys, given that not the cover model, but bears a striking resemblance, welcomed his son to the world a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
So that's exciting.
And actually made it there in time.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, without killing himself.
Yes. I have the cutest picture of him holding his son.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the pinup boy banners will bring the boys to the yard. That is the hope. I don't think that Rack Press will be at Fanboy. I believe I know that Rack Press will be at Imaginarium in July. I'm not sure if there's anything else planned for July off the top of my head. Because I don't go to cons, I don't keep up on
Yeah.
their schedule as much. I just hold the fort down here.
Yeah, Nancy. Trigonometry, yes, as opposed to trigonometry.
Hey, if you're shooting long enough,
Yeah.
trigonometry plays a part in the whole ballistic calculations.
Don't remind me. When you got to start figuring out Coriolis effect.
Mm-hmm. I have been a booth babe in the past, I'll have you know.
Actually, Sir Brass, they weren't able to wait. That's why she had the C-section.
Yeah, it was
There were some issues.
baby needed to come now.
Yeah.
No waiting. Baby out. Which was good. Everybody seems to be fine. Yes, snipers weaponized the maths.
A little bit.
A little bit.
What was funny, I was griping at work one day. We were out on the sidewalk smoking. And I was talking to one of the PhDs that I worked with all the time. And I was griping because I had gotten my ass kicked at a F600 match on the weekend. And he says, well, what are you shooting? I said, 172 grain 308. And he proceeds to list off the drops. And I went, huh. And yeah, Peter can do long range sniping too. So we proceed to get into a rather deep discussion out to about 1,200 yards. And he's rattling this stuff off the top of his head. And I'm sitting there going, yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Now, I think that's 168 grain. He goes, yeah, you're right. 172 grain is 439, not 419 at 1,000 yards. I said, well, if that's a standard day, yes. And then I looked at him and I went, how the hell do you know that, Tom? He says, well, I used to be a Marine designated marksman. This is a little short shit PhD. And I looked at him and went, what? And he looks at me and goes, yeah, I made sergeant 3 times.
Oh.
Now, this is a very prim and proper, well-groomed PhD. Not what you would think of when you think Marine. And I went, you made the sergeant 3 times? He says, yeah. And then they told me that I needed to go find another line of work.
And he did.
And he did. And a couple more conversations. I said, I got to add 3 times? And he grinned. He said, well, the last one was the good one. He said, well, we were getting ready to go to Nam in 64. And he said, we were at Pendleton and had to do 1 recoil before we left. So they put us out on the range and the instructors hadn't shown up yet. He said, but all what they call KD targets, known distance targets, were up. So he said, we just proceeded to shoot all the bracing out from behind them.
Oh.
From the bench. So when they went to raise the targets, none of them came up. And they boarded the boat the next day and went overseas. And by the time we got to Vietnam, he said, I was back to a corporal. But he, interesting guy to work with. He did a lot of work with what we call the Green Team at ONR, which was a joint Navy Marine team. And he also worked with the special warfare community on various and sundry things. And I'll just leave it at that.
You probably had the experience to do it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's always interesting when you inadvertently find out that someone has done interesting things in interesting places.
Yeah, and this is not the guy you would think, you know. And then he comes out of my office one day and goes, he says, I heard Buzz Mills is running this gun school somewhere. And I went, yeah, he runs a gun sight. And he goes, what's that? And I start explaining it. He starts laughing. He says, Mills was the shittiest shot in the goddamn platoon. Jesus Christ. So then I hooked the two of them up,
Oh,
and he goes out to the West Coast for a meeting and stops by a gun site on the way back. And when he showed up Monday morning, he looked like hell.
oh no.
Apparently, they had reminisced about old times
With lots of lubrication.
with lots of lubrication. And he said, I kind of remember climbing on the airplane to get out of there, I think.
Someone asked earlier about Imaginarium. It is July 19th through the 21st in Louisville, Kentucky.
Yep.
So
It's an interesting little con. Yeah, Michael, I don't think the testing is worth the effort. I really think I've got a problem with the mic itself.
yeah, the way it cuts out
Yeah,
after a while implies something's warming up in there and
yeah,
then
because this is now on a
failing.
different computer.
Right. No, we've tested
Yeah.
it on a couple of different computers, so something's wrong internal to the mic.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
fortunately they are replaceable. So
Gunsight 250 is a damn good course.
I am not a local and I will pronounce Louisville.
Louisville.
Yes, that. So,
It's a different con. I'm not going back. Yeah, Brian, it's a good mic, and really appreciative of John giving it to us. But
mhm,
sometimes even the best things break.
yeah,
Not much we can do about it.
yeah. So conventions, every convention's a little bit different,
Mm.
but there are,
You think?
yeah, there are literary conventions, there are media cons, there are
Writer
things
conventions.
there are things that are in between. There's writers symposiums, um, and it really depends on what you want to get out of a con as far as why you would go to it. And generally speaking, unless it's like super local, you're probably not going to a con every single year. Because unless your publishing tempo is pretty rapid, or like us, the publishing house where we
Yeah.
have a lot of releases in a year, your stuff is going to get stale to the audience. So I would say that especially if you're traveling to go to a con, you probably don't want to go to the same one over and over every year, but give it a rest and then go back. Because and media cons are a whole different thing.
Yes.
I'm not going to say they're not useful to an author. They are. But approaching them with a little bit of wisdom and knowing what you're getting into does help. I knew a little bit about media cons because I actually have been a booth babe
Yeah.
for friends that sell T-shirts. And so I had already encountered, and as a cosplay mom, because my girls were into cosplay. So for me, going into them then on a business basis, I have a pretty good idea of what I'm getting into and what the utility of a media con can be.
Mhm.
Which is not to get down on the main floor with the big dealers. It's to find Author Alley and be there, because the readers will find Author Alley.
Yeah.
And you'll spend way too much trying to be out with the big boys and probably not make your booth back if you're at a media con, because most people there aren't traditional readers. So, I mean, going as a cosplay mom was fun because it was jeans and t-shirt and totally laid back. When I go to a literary con, I'm in persona and
Yeah.
on and I'm working the entire time and it's exhausting.
Well,
So,
and the other side of that too is like Liberty Con.
mhm,
Is Baines Home Con 1.
yeah.
2, it's writers. 3, it's educational.
Mhm.
We've been teaching the same indie publishing course now for 7 years,
Yeah.
at least.
Yeah. And it's funny, I mean,
And
Indie publishing, it depends on the con because I was at a con and myself, Tony Weisskopf, and one or two other people were put on a panel about cover design.
Yeah.
And we had like 2-3 people in the
Yeah.
audience. And that's a panel that someplace where there's actually a lot of indie author presence.
Yeah.
It would have been packed.
Yeah.
Especially getting Tony up there and talking about it.
But every year we get between 30 and 50 people, including published authors that come.
Yeah.
Yeah, John actually helped us one year. Took a couple of years there.
Yeah. Advertising is about right. It's branding.
Yeah.
You're building yourself a brand so that people recognize you, and you build that trust relationship of you deliver good stuff. So in time, that will convert someone from a casual, oh, hey, this looks interesting, to an actual fan.
Yeah. And as Brian says, writers and scientists and soldiers.
Yeah, LibertyCon is different.
Yeah.
LibertyCon is very different. For me, LibertyCon became as much of a family reunion as anything, but that was because I was a Bane barfly.
Yeah.
And for all that Liberty at one point tried to get away from being so Bane-centric, it's not escapable. They're Bane's con, like it or not.
Yeah. Telcon should be back next year, Winkle Red. Scott's working on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, LibertyCon basically is a family reunion.
It would be nice to get Telcon back. Telcon's within a reasonable radius, even for me these days. Although, well, we'll see how things go in the next couple of weeks. So,
but you get cons like LTUE, Liberty, Life, Life, the universe, and everything.
Yeah. So LTUE, the first time I attended it, which has been close to 10 years ago now, was one of the only times I've ever gone to a con as a writer and attended a bunch of panels and teaching events and really got something out of it. Tony Weisskopf was giving the main speaking thing on that, and that was she broke down using Margaritaville as plot device and plot curves, and that was excellent. So LTUE, the first time I went, was fantastic, and I really, really wanted to go back again, but it took me a few years. Hi, Rita.
You have the windblown look.
Yeah, oddly enough, I am windblown.
It's windy out there. LTUE, I really wanted to go back to, and then I made it back about 5-6 years ago now, and it was okay. There was some good stuff, but there was also definitely some not so great stuff. And then after that, it just fell off the face of the earth with the whole COVID.
Yeah, and as Nancy said, it imploded.
Yep.
For a lot of reasons.
Well, I mean, 4 years ago, next week will be the week the world changed.
Yeah.
And not for the better.
Yep.
So it's quite the anniversary there.
Yeah, but LTUE was one of those that was over 200 panels at LTUE. They had a writing track, they had a cover track, they had a music track, they had a movie track, they had an anime track, and they had a cartooning track, if I remember right.
They had pretty much everything. Because the whole point of LTUE was originally it was for the students.
Yeah.
And that's why the schedule was a little odd.
Yeah.
Was because it was arranged actually around college students. And they wanted to learn all these different creative things, which is a wonderful idea. So it's got, the idea was really good, and they're writing the writer's cantina is
an attempt to
start something along that lines. I don't know that they're trying to restart it, but
well, the idea of treating writing as a business.
Yes.
And not playing political games.
Right. And it's like $20 to $50K. I knew it was a thing. I never really got involved in it because when it started kicking off, I didn't have the spoons to spare for trying to figure all of
Well,
that out.
also when 20 books to 50K first started, it was a scam.
Yeah. And that kind of put me off because there's certain kind of marketing writing that I will just, nope, don't want to do anything with that.
Oh, thank you,
So-
Nancy.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, Nancy's comment up there about the blue armpit haired ninny that zapped the horse panel we were on. Yeah, that was an interesting year. Gordon and I were on a panel about horses,
Mm-hmm.
along with this female author, literally with blue hair,
Mm-hmm.
who, anytime anything was said, immediately reverted to what she had written
Mm.
and went into a long explanation of what she had written and why, and yada, 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 yada.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Gordon and I are trying to actually answer the questions.
Right.
And it was funny as hell because at one point, toward the end of it, Gordon and I had basically ignored her.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, well, I'm going to talk about real horses and I want to talk about cutting horses.
Mm-hmm.
And this younger guy in the audience with a cowboy hat and jeans. Yes, finally.
Yeah, well, I think 50 books to 20K, 20 books to 50K.
20 bucks to 50K.
I'm reading at what Raptor wrote and
Oh.
it switched my brain. But I think they started out a little rough and then went to some good places after they got started. Because there was a real hunger and a need in the indie author community for learning the business. I mean, as an indie author, I got started in it. I had already been running a business, so I knew that end of it better than the book end of it. But there are an awful lot of people that, to this day, don't know how to handle it like a business.
Yeah, no
or
kidding.
that they need to handle it like a business.
Yeah.
So many people, I think, never even so much as ran a lemonade stand as a kid.
No, David, it was not Brennan. Brennan was there. He was not in the panel. As a matter of fact, the next year, I think it was 2019, Gordon and I did a guns panel for Zoom.
Okay.
And poor Nancy got stuck dragging things out of the safe and handing it to him while Gordon and I talked weapons.
Oh.
You couldn't do that today on a bet. They would knock that down in a heartbeat.
I'm wondering about Mini Marine using a knife because if I recall correctly, Mini Marine is sub 3 years old.
Yeah.
Yes, Rick, that is still the perceived path that you have to go to have any credibility.
Yeah.
I mean, there are a lot of very naive people, and yes, I'm being nice here.
Yeah.
There are a lot of very naive people that think that what they see in media portrayals of authors and publishing is how reality works, without realizing that if they get $1,000 advance for a first book, they'll be lucky.
Yeah.
And if they ever pay out their initial royalty advance, they'll be lucky.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. There's a lot of very innocent people and very naive people out there. And there are a lot of people that think that they have to go the traditional route or they aren't credible.
Which is bullshit.
Yes. And I have been fighting that fight for over a decade.
Yeah. And I got to stop in a second. I got a bone to pick with Nancy. She says, my job is AV geek and visual age wrangler. You're also an author. You're also an actress. You also do horses. You do a hell of a lot more than just that, Nancy. So you need to honk your own horn once in a while, lady.
Yeah, somebody told me once that if you don't toot your own horn, somebody else might use it as a funnel.
Yeah. Yep. Very true.
J.K. Rowling is an aberration. J.K. Rowling is the equivalent of winning the Powerball lottery.
A couple of times.
And statistically speaking, if you ever look at the demographics of who plays the lottery, yeah, it's not it is not politically correct.
Yeah. 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 Trad Pub. Well, and you've heard both Ian and I rant about agents
Hmm.
and vanity presses.
Hmm. And I have as well.
Yeah.
So
we're not going to go down that rat hole again.
that's a topic for a different time and a different place.
Yeah. It's a tax for folks who are bad at math like me. Yeah.
It's one of those things that on rare occasion my husband used to buy a ticket.
Yeah.
Because he said that it was a small price to pay because he didn't do it often.
Yeah.
To dream and dream big.
Yeah.
And I have no issue with that. I completely understand the motivation there. I don't myself, but I do write books and publish them and think that maybe they'll make some money. So I really can't speak to
Yeah.
the validity of buying lottery tickets.
Yeah. Well, Differ, I hope y'all are going to come through this way on your way.
I think they have it planned.
Yeah.
I believe I did hear that in her road trip journal,
Yeah.
she has a date even picked out. I don't know what it is yet,
Yeah.
but so,
Rick, yeah, crumbles from the grave for Highlands rants. Yes.
oh, good. Both up and back. Excellent. The
Yay.
more we get to see you, the better.
Yeah.
So,
$20 is cheap entertainment for the expense. Yeah.
Yeah, really. I mean, honestly, it's a ticket to a daydream.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not any worse than buying a ticket to the movies, which is what, like $10 these days? It's been a while
Hell,
since
try
I've been
30, 20 or 30.
for
Yes.
a movie ticket.
Yeah.
Good heavens, it's gotten really bad.
I saw
So-
something the other day. A ticket to the movie, a small popcorn, and a drink was $40.
Might depend on the movie. I know we went in one time. We were going to watch the movie, but it was only on like the special IMAX screen or something.
Yeah.
And the ticket for that was going to be like $20.
Yeah.
And I told the kids, nope, we'll come back later when it's on a regular screen.
Have a good one, David.
Rick, that is true. It is less damaging than a beer or a toke. That is very true.
Yep.
Differs, you might be slightly overplanned. I take my hat off to you, woman. I am not sure that as the mother of multiple kids, I could ever have said anything with that kind of certainty.
Oh. Yeah, Carlton Sif was another one that was good in the past and went bad.
And I think that some of these organizations got started with the best of intentions.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, anytime there is the modicum of power or perception of power, a certain personality seeks that out
Yeah.
to use for their own. There's a word and I've completely forgotten it. Aggrandizement. That was
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, and there's Brennan.
Oh, hi, Brennan.
Are you enjoying
Congrats,
this?
Dad.
Enjoying the sleep that you won't be seeing for the next year or two?
Yeah.
Sleep all you can for the next couple of days because you're going to need it.
Yes, he is. Good, good. You do that for now. And I have no doubt that you'll be a good dad and help Emma out.
Yeah.
For one thing, if you're not, there's some gentlemen around here that may have a word with you.
Yeah. Pornell's law of both
Yes.
the iron law of bureaucracies
Mhm.
and organizations. Yes.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
it holds very true with SIFWA
anything really. I mean, it's amazing how small the organization can be, and
Yeah.
yet it holds true. So
Oh yeah, and yeah, I've dealt with it too. We all have.
yep. Yeah.
WorldCon. Well, WorldCon is a bit of a different situation. We have some background information on that we can't go into, but
Well, I think we can say, because it's public knowledge, WorldCon and the Hugos are two different committees.
Yeah.
They're not actually connected. They're very different. Yes, the Peter Principle is another one that
oh yeah,
holds true. So, yep.
yeah,
Well, I mean, there's a reason the top line when we were house hunting was no HOAs.
yeah.
Absolutely none. I don't care how little or how inert they are.
Oh
If
god,
they exist, I'm not buying the house.
no.
Because if there's a possibility that one could suddenly pop up into its ugly little self, I didn't want to have to deal with it.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, Rick, it's been going down for years. When you have a couple of publishers that pretty much control the Hugos,
mhm,
and you have specific individuals who work for those publishers that have their coterie of sycophants,
yes.
that's the death knell. Yeah, Rick, I still wouldn't live in anything with an HOA, whether it had enforcement authority or not.
Yeah. I mean, we're in town. I don't like necessarily living in town, but I was raised very, very rurally.
Say it ain't so.
I would just as soon have a piece of land where I could do whatever I wanted to on it, but the maintenance on that right now would kill me.
Yeah,
So having a small in-town lot. Of course, I've also been told by the neighbors, in not quite so many words, that they really don't care how many chickens I have, but please, no roosters.
yeah. Roosters will get dead around here.
I'm allowed to have 6 hens and no rooster inside town. The neighbors have quietly let me know that they don't care if I have more than 6. Currently, I have 4. And I'm probably not going to get more than 4 just because I don't want to have to take care of that
Yeah.
many of them. So, yeah, road maintenance is probably not an awful thing, but still, once you have one, the camel's nose under the tent.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Yes. I have had 200 chickens differs. Not again. Thank you. No.
The only thing worse than chickens is cotton picking quail.
I've never kept quail. I have never managed to keep guineas alive for any length of time. Geese are a flat no because they're mean suckers. And ducks are just messy.
Yeah.
Nasty. There's a reason they call them foul.
Yeah, my mother decided one year when I was little that we were going to have quail because she got tired of the panther eating the chickens.
And the panther wasn't going to eat the quail because...
That was her reasoning.
Okay.
That's a butt ton of work for very, very, very little food.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I know. Although I will tell you,
it's worse than a damn dove. At least a dove, you can reach in and pluck the breast out, and you got a piece of meat about that big.
I will tell you,
friggin' quail, you got a piece about that big.
That a spatchcocked quail skewered and done Korean barbecue style is actually pretty darn tasty.
Yeah, and it's 2 bites.
That was a little more than that, but yes, it
Not
does
by much.
require some delicate nibbling.
Yeah.
There's a place down in Carrollton, Texas, that is everything comes on a stick on a skewer, and it's cooked over their barbecue thing in the back, and they do a spatchcocked quail, and it's really nice.
Yes, quail can fly. Yes.
Oh yes, quail can definitely fly.
As God is my witness.
Yeah.
Turkeys can sort of fly. Wild turkeys, domestic turkeys cannot. No.
No.
You drop those out of something high, there will be a There will be a splat at the end.
Yeah.
It will not be pleasant.
Yeah. Cows are
Yes,
are
Tiffany, it
easier
is.
unless you get them caught in a fire. They're still totaling up the losses. Smokehouse, as of this morning, still less than 50% contained, 1.5 million acres.
Yeah.
And they're now estimating between 12 and 15,000 head of cattle killed.
Did you see that they have pinned down a cause?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. A light pole,
Snapped.
power pole.
Power pole snapped and the wires got down and threw sparks.
Yep.
What did it snap and those green lasers came down?
I don't think there were green lasers involved, but I wasn't there.
Yeah.
Space lasers differ, says.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
No, you do not want a bison.
Bison treat fences as suggestions.
Yeah. Winkle Red, that's true. However, this was central Louisiana in the 50s. Number of Asians was slim and none.
Yep. Of course, after Vietnam, there was considerable more Asians there, if
Yeah.
I recall correctly.
Oh yeah.
So.
Oh yeah. They you know, and I know some of the Vietnamese that came over. I met them in the Philippines and then met them back here.
Yeah.
And they are industrious people.
Oh yeah. No, I think they were
Yeah.
a terrific addition to the country.
Yeah.
I'm very happy that they were able to come over and
A lot of the
establish
shrimpers are
themselves.
less than happy with them though. 'Cause
I'm sure.
They actually
So-
went out and worked, unlike some of the Cajuns out of South Louisiana that, you know, going shrimping was an occasion to go drink. And ironically, the Vietnamese in South Louisiana, the most of the Maryland blue crabs that are harvested now
Louisiana.
are harvested in Louisiana by Vietnamese Cajuns, basically.
Huh. I'm just thinking about the ecology.
Yeah.
Maryland and Louisiana are very different climates
Yeah.
and ecologies. So it's interesting that they established that well
Yeah.
there. That's
And sadly,
So-
because of the Mississippi, we're losing the Delta in Louisiana.
yeah.
The Delta actually needs to flood on a routine basis.
So too much flood control and
Yeah.
and did you see the mess they made breaking down the Klamath Dam up
Oh,
in
yeah.
Northern California?
Yeah.
It caught my attention because my mom used to live up near Klamath Falls, and I went and looked at it, and they screwed that one 6 ways from Sunday. It looks like,
Oh yeah.
and that's not a mess.
Well,
they're
and,
gonna be
and
able
now
to
they're
clean up.
talking about taking all the dams off the Columbia River because the eco Nazis have gotten in there
Yeah.
with
No,
the Indians.
I know. It's yeah. That one has. I grew up in a family that environmentalist was a cuss word.
Yeah.
So, and having grown up to become a naturalist and even get the certifications as such, has not changed my opinion any.
RK, actually, the report is out this morning. It's going to go to a lawsuit, but they are saying that it was 99% probability that it was a power pole that went down and started it.
I saw an article this morning saying that they had admitted to one of the fires, but not the
Yeah.
other one.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. And we've wasted another hour and plus of your time today.
And I won't even get started on logging in the Pacific Northwest because that would eat some more time. So
Yeah.
yes, let's not.
So anyway, enjoy your weekend. Hopefully we get some rain. Hopefully y'all get whatever you need weather-wise,
Mhm.
wherever you may be.
I will go home and plant flowers and then I will feel better.
I'm glad you can grow stuff. Christmas presents the last couple of years for me from a friend have been stuffed cactuses and stuffed flowers, so I can't kill them. Yeah. So anyway, remember, don't sweat the petty stuff. Don't pet the sweaty stuff. And Ian et al. Should be back next week. So we'll see you later.
Bye now.
Bye.